Hey YouTube, what is up? I've been playing my Super Quantum Monarchs and I really enjoyed that deck, but I've been keeping an eye on how people play the pure build of Monarchs, and I saw that some people were spicing their deck up by putting in Dark Armed Dragon and by putting in BLS. BLS just because you run a lot of light and dark targets, and Dark Armed Dragon because he's searchable through Return of the Monarchs, and you have a lot of graveyard manipulation with Monarchs through Erebus and through YUGIOH. So I thought to myself, if people are putting BLS and Dark Armed in, what's another deck that runs BLS and Dark Armed? And I was like, oh yeah, one of my favorite decks of all time, Chaos Dragons. So I thought to myself, why don't I splash in the entire Chaos Dragon engine and see how it runs? And to be honest with you, it's a really fun deck to play. I can't believe how fun this is and how well it works when it gets going, because you have the most crazy swarm plays I've ever seen, and there's some crazy stuff you can do through Light Pulsar and Dominion lockouts, and I'll explain that in a second. I just really want to quickly talk about the number of Monarchs and cards that I play, just as an example and, to explain how this deck runs. The reason I do 2 Erebus and 2 Aether is because I like to run 2 Trade-In. Trade-In allows me to manipulate my graveyard, put lights and darks if I need them into the graveyard, and then draw on top of that. Pantheism 3, just because the card's broken, and if it doesn't get hit, I'm going to keep running 3, because the ability to draw off of all these Monarch cards is ridiculous and broken. I can basically get rid of useless cards in my hand and draw more, and then banish this and draw more, and just keep it going and keep it going. It's really, really good. I run 2 Stormforth just because I could sacrifice my opponent's monster, bring out Light Pulsar, bring out Karaz, bring out Aether. There's a lot of plays with the Stormforths. I don't want to run 3 because I don't want to see it too early, but I can do some fun stuff with it. That's why I like keeping it at 2. Same reason I keep Prime at 2. I like to have 1 in the graveyard and 1 on field to recycle and draw, because being able to draw on your opponent's turn and your turn and then have a draw phase as well is really, really good, and recycling the cards that you sent to the graveyard might help you if you are trying to do more of the Monarch side of the engine. I explained already why I run 2 Aether. I run 1 Karaz because it also helps with the graveyard manipulation and drawing, which is what I really think this deck focuses on a lot. I could summon Aether, sacrifice a light and dark monster. I can bring out Karaz, pop Aether and Karaz, draw 2, and then I have 3 light monsters and a dark monster in my graveyard. It allows me to start up my Chaos Dragon engine, or BLS, or Dark Arm, depending on how I can manipulate my graveyard from that point on. So there's a lot of plays I can do, and I really do like that. The reason I do run Return of the Monarchs is because it allows me, if I'm using the Chaos Dragon engine at the start, and I don't really touch the Monarchs, the bigger ones, I can actually search them out. I could search out an Aether for Karaz plays later on. I could search out an Erebus if I need to, or if I'm doing Monarch stuff, I could search out Dark Armed and start the Chaos Dragon engine by banishing from my graveyard and stuff like that. So 1 Return of the Monarchs is really good. I don't run more than 1 because I like to search it. I don't like to draw into it. The reason I run 1 for 1 is because this allows me to have 2 Tribute Summons on 1 turn if I can do some ridiculous plays with it, and having the ability to do 2 Tribute Summons, sending light and dark monsters to the graveyard along the way, bringing out bigger light and dark monsters, and then on top of 2 Tribute Summons, usually having 2 big Monarchs on the field, I can bring out Chaos Dragons through the monsters I sacrifice to bring out the bigger Monarchs. That's really, really good. It allows me to do some pretty broken swarm stuff, and that's the same reason I run 1 Foolish Burial. This card is amazing. I wish it was at like 2 or like, semi-limited, because the ability to have 1 in the deck is good, but having 2 would be so much better. I can send Eclipse Wyvern to the graveyard. I can send any light and dark monster to the graveyard I need to manipulate my engine if I already have Eclipse in the graveyard. I could send Erebus to the graveyard to add cards from my graveyard to my hand if I need to. I can send Idiot to the graveyard to get back Banished, Spell, and Traps. So this card's great, and I wish it was that too, because it would make the deck run so much smoother just because of the way you can manipulate your graveyard even further. I do 2 Idios and 3 Idia, because if I had 3 Idios, I feel like I draw into it too much. I like drawing into him, but I'd rather draw into Idia because she brings him out and it deck thins and allows me to draw the cards I really want to see, as opposed to drawing into Idios, who isn't bad, but I'd rather draw into Idia. So that's why it's 2 and 3. The reason I run 1 Eclipse Wyvern, that's a tongue twister there, is because Eclipse Wyvern's good, but I'd rather just send him to the graveyard with Foolish Burial. I don't really want to draw into him. So if I run 2, I might draw into him. He's a good thing to, get rid of with reasoning, and he's fun to, play, but his real purpose is basically just searching out Red Eyes, and that's all he's really good for, or Dark Arms. You could search out Dark Arm too. So he's good to search out these cards and add them to hand, but that's all you use him for. You don't really want to draw into him. The reason I run, 2 of these is the same reason I kind of run 2 of the bigger Monarchs. I don't really want to draw multiple versions of them. I run 2, 2, 2, 2, just because I feel like that is what works. Obviously you can have a brick hand every once in a while where you draw like straight Chaos Dragon engine. That usually doesn't happen for me. I like drawing Light Pulsar because it allows me to tribute him. I could tribute summon Light Pulsar, I could tribute summon Dark Flare, or I could special summon them. So they're not brick hands pretty much. I have the ability to do either one. I can special summon or tribute summon them. If I tribute summon them, I can use Return of the Monarchs to get my Monarch plays going later on. The reason I run Wyverburster and Collapse Serpent at 2 is because these cards are good for graveyard manipulation as well, but I don't want to draw into them too often, and they search each other out, so that's why I like to run them at 2. I run 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon and 1 BLS and 1 Dark Armed at 1 because I can't run more than that. They're already limited, so I can't run more than that. I wish I could. Same thing for Foolish Burial and 1 for 1. It allows for some ridiculous stuff. The reason I do 3 Reasoning is because not a lot of people know what number to call with this deck. I have 8-star monsters, 6-star, 1-star, 2-star, 4-star, 5-star, 6-star, 7 stars. So, I mean, obviously you can't special summon Dark Armed, but there's a lot of numbers in this deck, and if people just see the Monarchs and then they call, like, 8, and I bring out a Dark Flare Dragon or a Light Pulsar, people are going to not know what the fuck just hit them. And it's really funny to see that happen online. This deck has the crazy ability to swarm, and Reasoning just helps you get monsters to the field without tributing them, so you can use them as tribute fodder and fueling your graveyard as well, which is kind of what this deck runs on. The reason I do 3 Domain, I don't know, they changed the names on this Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro shit, but the reason I run 3 of this is because I can set up some wacky lockout plays with Light Pulsar Dragon. If I have Light Pulsar that's tribute summoned on the field and Red Eyes Darkness Metal in the graveyard, and this active, I have them locked out of their extra deck. And if they kill my Light Pulsar, though they have access to their extra deck, I bring out this motherfucker, which allows me to bring out this. It just allows me to bring out like any dragon I have in my deck, which is really, really good. So people often think twice if I have a tribute summon Light Pulsar, but like they really don't want to get rid of him just because it allows for some broken plays later on. If they can't get over a 2500 monster, odds are they're probably not going to be able to get over a 2800 monster. So if they Raigeki or Dark Hole Light Pulsar and don't realize that this is in the grave, probably sent there from Reasoning or something similar, and I bring him out, and then they can't attack over it no matter what they bring out, it doesn't bother me if they have access to the extra deck, because next turn I'm just going to use his ability, summon Light Pulsar, and then use the Light Pulsar's tribute fodder for the bigger Monarchs or other cards, or it just fuels my graveyard for the more chaos plays by bringing out BLS or something silly like that. So there's a lot of crazy stuff I could do with this deck. If you have any, suggestions, I'd love to hear it. This is a really fun deck. It's not, the most serious deck, but it's a good, deck to play with your friends maybe. Not if you're playing really competitively, but it's fun to play. It has some crazy swarm abilities, and I have an extra deck version in mind that I'm thinking of, kind of like rank 5 spam, but I'll see how it works out. Let me know what you thought of this deck and this video, and these not so serious deck profiles, but I kind of enjoy this. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, you can click subscribe. It's free, it's fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.